Good day, everyone. Welcome to Great Research. How are you today? I hope you're doing good and safe. Are you ready now for our lesson? Come on, let's go. Alright, so for today, our lesson is about hypothesis of the study. So the word hypothesis is the plural form and hypothesis is the singular form. Now, what is hypothesis? Hypothesis is made up of two words, hypo, which means less than, and thesis. So we are familiar with thesis, diba? So thesis is has already undergone several experiments, several studies. So when we say hypothesis, it is less certain than a thesis. So maybe isang beses pa lang yung study na yon, yung hypothesis na yun nagagamitin, so once pa lang. So it is less certain. So medyo hindi pa siya sigurado than a thesis. It can be tested and verified. So in a scientific method, the one that will be tested through an experiment is the hypothesis. And of course, it must be verified after the data gathering of results or analysis of results. It is a tentative solution to a problem based on available evidence which the researcher seeks to prove through his study. So when we say hypothesis, siya yung pinakamalapit na solusyon to the problem. So di ba you have your research problem, so you will form your hypothesis based on your research problem. So you will think of the tentative solution. So ito ay parang guess muna, di ba? When we say guess, medyo hindi tayo sigurado kung yun ay lalabas na solution or answer to the problem or question that we have in research. Kaya nga tentative, hindi pa siya sigurado. Now in scientific method, so I'm sure you are familiar with the steps in scientific method. So di ba first we have to ask question. That's why I asked you to create or formulate your research question or problem. After that, you do background research. Diba? Pinasinabihan ko kayo na mag-research kayo if there are studies done related to your question or problem. Then after that, so ito na nga, you're going to construct hypothesis. And then this hypothesis will be tested with an experiment. And after the experiment, you have to gather and analyze the results. And from the results, you will draw conclusion. Now, when you draw conclusion, there are two options. Either your hypothesis is true or your hypothesis is false or partially true. If your hypothesis is true, then you can report the results. If your hypothesis is false or partially true, then you have to think and try again to construct another hypothesis. So, alam naman natin that the scientific method is a trial and error method. So, if your hypothesis did not give you a true hypothesis or hindi ganun na lumabas na solution sa inyong research, hindi lumabas yung hypothesis that you constructed or formulated, then you have to repeat, think, and try again. So you have to construct another hypothesis, which you think will be the tentative solution to your problem. So I hope you are getting my point. Now there are types of hypotheses, but we will only focus on two types of hypothesis. So the first one we have the null hypothesis. So when we say null hypothesis, it is a statement that denies the working hypothesis. Deny, kaya nga diba null? So this is a negative hypothesis. It predicts that there is no relationship between two variables. If you will recall your research 7, I'm sure you have learned about the two variables. Diba, we have the independent variable and the dependent variable. So for an experiment, there should always be two variables to be tested. And when we say null hypothesis, you're predicting that there is no relationship. So wala. Kaya nga negative hypothesis siya. So there will be no. So yung words na no, that means negative, nandoon siya. It cannot exist in reality. And it is symbolized or denoted as capital H and then 0. So how to write the null hypothesis? So I have here an example. Okay, in clinical trial, there is no significant difference between the two drugs. So, for example, maybe the research problem is about identifying the difference between the two drugs in a clinical trial. So, the null hypothesis here, in clinical trial, there is no significant difference between the two drugs. So, siguro hindi ma-identify, wala daw na difference yung dalawang drugs. So, siguro not effective sila or effective sila parehas. So, walang pinagkaiba. So, that is the null hypothesis. So, it is a negative. So, kaya nga nandun yung no. So, null hypothesis. Now, the second, when we say alternative hypothesis, or it is sometimes called also as alternate hypothesis, the hypothesis to be accepted when the null hypothesis is rejected. So if your null hypothesis is rejected, then you have another one. Ito yung the hypothesis to be accepted. So kaya tinawag siyang alternative hypothesis. And it is symbolized or denoted by H, capital H, then subscript 1. So let's see this example. In clinical trial, the new drug is better than the current drug. So, di ba? Very clear. Kanina sa null hypothesis, there is no significant difference. Now, in alternative hypothesis, the new drug is better than the current drug. So, siguro sa clinical trial, tinest yung isang patient with different drugs. So, isa new drug, bagong gawa, and then current drug. So, lumabas experiment, or before the experiment, ito ang hypothesis. Kasi ang hypothesis naman kini-create before the experiment. Yun na, again, to make it clear, the hypotheses are formulated before the experiment. So, huhulaan mo nga eh. Huhulaan nga natin kung ano yung magiging outcome, kung ano yung magiging solution to the problem. So, there are two. Yung null hypothesis, walang significant difference. So, wala silang epekto. Yung second is, the new drug is better than the current drug. But of course, hindi pa rin tayo sure which one will be the result. Which one will be accepted based on the results of the experiment. So, that is how you're going to formulate your hypothesis. So, again, hinuhulaan lang natin. We are giving tentative solutions. So, there are always two tentative solutions. Isang null. Kaya nga yung null, negative hypothesis siya, laging no. At yung isang alternative hypothesis, yung inaasahan nyo na mangyayari. Lagi namang dalawa lang laging options, di ba, nangyayari? May isang negative effect at merong isang positive effect. So that is the two types of hypothesis that you will be using or formulating based on your research problem. So if you have any question regarding our lesson about hypothesis, so you're free to send me a private message or post a message or question in our group chat so that everybody will be able to see also your question na baka yun din ay question ng karamihan, nahihiya lang magtanong. So this will be your group activity number 4. You are going to group again or meet your group through Gmeet or group chat, and the same layout or output. So So A4 size paper, or A4 paper size, sorry, and then Times New Roman, font 12, and then one box again for the documentation part or the screenshots of your conversation. And you may change your facilitator or you may retain your tasks, so it's up to your group. So you're going to formulate 2 hypotheses. One null hypothesis and one is alternative hypothesis based on your research problem. So I hope you understand the instructions. So ganun ulit ang gagawin. The facilitator will be the one to submit first to me through Messenger the output so that I will give feedbacks. I will be able to check your hypothesis, and after checking and your hypotheses are accepted, then encoder or uploader should be able to upload the file on our G Drive for research output. So yun lang. So again, remember, for your team or group to be successful in any task, so you should have 3 works: teamwork, hard work, and heart work, which is the most important, hard work. Alright, so there you are. That's all, and thank you. Stay safe and God bless everyone. Have a nice day. Bye bye.